We are. Good.
Here we go.
We are now going to start with our foundation moment.
Hello, Rotary family and friends. March 8th is International Women's Day, a time to celebrate the incredible contributions of women in Rotary and communities worldwide. It's also a moment to reflect on how much more we can accomplish together. Through the Rotary Foundation, we're empowering women and girls by providing access to education, clean water, and economic opportunities. Every gift makes a difference, helping women build stronger families and become leaders in their communities. When women have equal opportunities to lead, we see stronger teams, greater impact, and solutions that uplift entire communities. Life is always more interesting on the other side of yes has been my lifelong motto. Say yes first, then figure it out. That's why I'm challenging all of us to say yes to supporting our future leaders of Rotary. Say yes when a new Rotary member is looking for a mentor. Yes to organizing a school supply drive. Yes to inviting a friend to help with a hands-on project. Yes to help build more peaceful societies. And most importantly, say yes to making a donation to the Rotary Foundation. Your support helps break down barriers, foster equality, and create future leaders. When we all give, we make a greater impact together than we could ever do alone. This International Women's Day, let's join together to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to make a difference. Your generosity and commitment to doing good in the world are needed now more than ever.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Mary Ellen has just joined us, and Mel McCarthy is on her way in. So we'll just wait for those two to come on. Mary Ellen? Hello, Mel. I guess Mary Ellen's there somewhere. Did we hear from you, Mel? Hi, Mel.
Hi.
Hi.
I just, oh, sorry. I'm just getting set up here. Just one moment, please.
Okay, I'll introduce Alisha then. And here comes Aileen. And Marianne, when you get a chance, will you see if Carlene is around somewhere too?
Yes.
It is my pleasure to introduce Alisha Hasan. Alisha Gainforth Hasan is a board certified behavior analyst, BCBA comes after her name, an entrepreneur and advocate for neurodiverse individuals. She is the founder of Real World ABA, a center in New Brunswick that provides specialized support for children with autism and fetal alcohol syndrome. Alisha is also a foster parent dedicated to creating safe and nurturing spaces for children in need. Alongside her husband, she co-founded, and I'm probably not going to say this right, Matir Shotan in Bangladesh, a think tank and startup accelerator aimed at empowering young innovators to drive social change. Passionate about inclusive care and community impact, Alisha continues to bridge gaps in services and opportunities for neurodiverse individuals worldwide. Always unique, totally intelligent, sometimes mysterious. Please welcome Gamechangers Atlantic Rotarian, Alisha Hasan.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. This is my first time actually attending, and it's not going to be my last time. I'm already addicted to this. The four-way test that you said, Kathy, holds so much meaning now. It's exactly what we needed to hear. So thank you for sharing that.
Before you go on, Alisha, I'm just going to ask that if everyone will put it themselves in speaker view. So if you'll just pause for a minute while we get ourselves into the speaker view, especially on the one that we're recording. That's really important. Okay.
Am I allowed to share my screen? I did make a presentation.
Yes. Let me I'm just getting up here to where it says that I can. There you go.
You guys see the presenter view as well?
Yeah, we're seeing a whole bunch on the screen right now.
Okay. I'll do it this way.
There.
I don't have my notes now. My notes were in the presenter view format, but that's okay. We'll carry on.
Alisha,
So, yeah.
Alisha, before you start, Kathy, did you want me to do the timer? Because we had mentioned that I could be the timekeeper for the meeting.
Yes, so I sent the agenda. So I
did not see it.
We're finished till at 7:45 is when we're finished. So we have time.
Okay, so I'll give you a signal. Thank you.
So thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Alisha Gainforth Hasan. I'm a BCBA. So applied behavior analysis represents the science of human behavior. And basically everybody is using ABA because it's whatever brings you joy is often what motivates you, right? And that's what we use at our center is we find what brings these unique individuals joy and we just run with it. So we've had a lot of success, we've had a lot of firsts, and I just absolutely love my job. And as a result, I get to share that joy and passion with helping individuals with special needs with my husband, Asif Hasan. So I'm going to talk more about where Matir Shantan started, but we have to go back to the beginning, right? So how it started. I like to say that it was predestined. Okay, this is me. I'm 7 years old, and I think that I can confidently say that my marriage was arranged. You know, whether you believe in a higher power, a creator, God, whatever name you want to call it, here I am 7 years old, and my husband's name is Asif, A-S-I-F. And this was my absolute favorite shirt when I was that young. And I would say, 20 years later, this is me now with my Asif. So tell me if this was not predetermined, So I married my best friend, I married my soulmate, and as a result, we have a wonderful time raising foster kids and really just trying to give back to the community. We feel really grateful to be alive. We feel really grateful that we have each other, and it's in our hearts and our desire to just give back. So here is a kind of a compilation of our businesses that Asif and I have co-founded. So he's co-founded Climative. Originally, it was Simtech. So they're looking for an inclusive, positive green energy solution. There's NeuroAI that is helping transform neurodivergence for individuals who are on the spectrum and also their parents, right? It's using social AI. It's using AI for social good. And he has a stealth mode company. I can't really talk much about it, but it's going to help homeowners with their purchasing and selling homes. And our other company is Real World ABA, what Kathy mentioned, and we provide empathetic behavioral supports for individuals with special needs. So what ties all of these businesses together? It's interesting. We never thought about it until actually recently. We've been looking into like what are our values, like what is our mission statement, and like how can we live our life through that that value lens. And one thing that we came to terms on is that we are striving, if God wills, to have ethical entrepreneurship. That's how we want to live our lives. That's how we want to lead our businesses, is through ethical entrepreneurship. So what does that mean, right? So how does that connected to Matushantan? Well, again, I think we have to go back. You have to understand the context and the culture, right, to make it meaningful. So um, this is Asif. I would say he's fourth year university student at UNB. This picture is of him on Dragon's Den with SimTech, pitching for Dragon's Den. It used to be a university project transformed into a company, now known as Climative. Well, his parents definitely did not picture him becoming an entrepreneur. He was fourth year electrical computer engineering, and guess what? He dropped out, right? He decided to pursue this career, and he had already hired, I think 4 PhD students, before within the first year, right? But it was definitely not what his mom and his dad had in mind when they were holding him as a little baby, thinking like, you are going to become an engineer one day and you are going to become a government officer one day. That was definitely the mission and vision for his life, and it kind of got us thinking. It kind of marks the start of our journey into understanding, what does it mean to be an ethical entrepreneur, right? Why are there these stigmas and seemingly misconceptions about being a business person, right? And that journey led us to where we are now. So in order to understand, again, we have to go back, right? And again, I apologize, I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm going off of memory. But Bangladesh, it's right next to India, kind of like in the armpit of India. Okay, it's a beautiful tropical country. But it has been under colonial rule for over 200 years, starting in 1700s, ending in 1971 is when they gained their independence. So relatively recent. And the British rulers during the time, they made a strong emphasis on only hiring people who could do clerical tasks, right? So what that meant was that in order to achieve a clerical position, that gave you status, that gave you uh, comfort, that gave you financial security, but you had to what? Go to university, right? You had to be able to read, you had to be able to write. So that kind of started this trend of you need to have certain jobs for, financial security. As well, since the government is so new, it was still forming, there wasn't social security, right? Like even in 1971, even till today, they're still building it, right? And it's a beautiful country to follow. They've done exceptional things, but it definitely does lack social security, and as a result, consumer rights. So why are you going to risk everything to become an entrepreneur, and you're not going to be set up with a pension? And if when you get older and you need, let's say you need to go to the hospital for any time, any age of your life, who's going to pay for that? Right? So when you have that government job, when you have that certain designation, there is that financial security. So there was a lot of pressure on Asif to, pursue that role. And he was a game changer in one way, because he was the first, yeah, he was the first, I think, of his family to become an entrepreneur and go down a different path, right? And alhamdulillah, all praise to God, it really worked out. But we started questioning, why can't other people, why is it so unique for Asif to do this, right? Like, why can't other people do entrepreneurship, right? It's such a need. It creates jobs. It's so wonderful to, promote businesses locally. And the common response that we received in Bangladesh was, oh well, uh, business people are corrupt, you know, and you don't want to go down that path. You don't want to have to do things that goes against your values, right? You don't you business people don't follow the right rules. They're trying to trick people, right? You're going to have to give to the gundas, which is like the gangsters, right? Like paying the bribe fees, right? So it just didn't seem like a safe space. Or pursuing business means you didn't do well in university, so this is your only option, right? So Asif and I started to talk about this, and we started to challenge this concept. Like, where did this concept come from, right? Like, let's go to the root of it. And we started to ask people, why? Like, why do you think that? Like, why do you think business people are all business people are corrupt? And it was sad, actually, like the realization of not just one person, like many people were saying, oh, Bangladeshis are this or Bangladeshis are that, like some people are uneducated, or you can't trust them, or they're corrupt, right? All these really negative character traits. And I was there like this December 2024, and Asif looked this man who he loves dearly in the face, and he said, you're not that person, are you? It's like, no. Is your daughter's that person who you're describing? The guy's like, no. And Asif said, well, I'm not either. And in fact, I don't know anybody who is this. So I think we need to wake up and start realizing that, we don't have to take on the persona of this stigma. We can overcome this, right? And we're going to do that by what? By having these types of dialogues, having these types of conversations, challenging the norms, questioning the stigmas, right? Because nobody is going to say, oh, my son, my daughter is going to be corrupt. That's not how the world exists, right? Like we run through kindness, we run through values, we run through fairness, like that four-way test, Kathy, right? I think that is the definition of ethical entrepreneurism. It's in one way. So Asif started questioning, his family, like why can't you guys do business, right? Why do you have to pigeonhole yourself into this category? And I thought it was so beautiful, so I'm just going to share this little video. This is probably like, and I'm not lying, this is probably 1/6 or 1/7 of his family. He has 10 years ago, and there's been lots of more additions since then. He has 54 immediate family members. So this is just a small portion of them. Alhamdulillah. Sorry, Alhamdulillah is Arabic for all praise to God, or all praise to your creator. So these are beautiful people. They're all these young faces, all of these wonderful people. They are future entrepreneurs, and they can do it. And that's why I feel like it's high time Asif and I it's like a desire. We have to give back to Bangladesh. We have to create space, a safe space for people to really believe in themselves, and to believe in the fact that they can create social change, and they can have a positive influence on their community and in their environment. But in order to do that, we have to stand face to face with this giant stigma that business people aren't trustworthy, right? And I don't think that this just exists only in Bangladesh. I think that there is essentially this stigma everywhere around the world, right? But we're affiliated with Bangladesh. So how did Matir Shantan come to be? What does that name even mean, right? Well, I have to go back to the root again. Bangladesh, it's a beautiful oral culture. It took me years to learn the cooking, and then I understood it's because nobody has a recipe for their dishes. It's all been passed down through oral traditions, through watching their parents cook, right? And it's really hard to actually translate that into text, right? Like one recipe is when the color looks right, or when the smell, when you sense the right smell, right? Or when you get that feeling, right? I'm like, what feeling, what color, what smell? And it's passed down uh orally through hundreds of years. So one of another very beautiful tradition that's passed down is their values. Their values are passed down through these dialogues, through these stories. And one story is about that it doesn't even have a name, you know, like it's like the farmer's daughter. And it's this young daughter who lives on a farm with her dad and the rest of her family. And this landlord, this greedy landlord comes and he says to the dad, I'm increasing your rent. If you don't pay it by this day, you're out. Well, the farmer is like, I can't pay that. Like that's astronomical. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to make my family homeless. And the landlord says, sorry, you know, like new developments. And he says, you look, I'll cut you a deal. If you're able to solve these three riddles, we'll call it even. You don't have to, I won't increase your rent. Well, the father is crying, I'm not educated. I don't know how to solve these riddles. They seemed impossible. And one day the daughter came up to him and he goes, Dad, what's wrong? And he tells her, sorry, what's happening. And I don't want to get into it because short on time, but she actually beautifully solves the riddles, right? Like one riddle was, tell me something that lives inside and out of a cage. And so one day she brought this bird cage to the landlord's house and put it on his porch. And he says, what's this doing here? She goes, well, the bird is trapped inside of the cage, but the bird's song lives outside of the cage. So it's inside and outside of the cage at the same time. And so, anyways, she really impressed the landlord, and ultimately her creativity, her her innovation, her like kindness, and all of these good values that led her to have the courage to stand up to this landlord, really proved that goodness always trumps evil, you know. And the landlord decided not to tax their land further, and he actually gifted them the land and the surrounding land. He was so touched by her hard work and her diligence, right? So Matir Shantan stands for children of the soil, right? Because, you know, Asif, he was the first that I've heard to label himself as a global citizen, you know, being born in Bangladesh, raised in India, and now he calls New Brunswick his home. You know, so I thought, you know, that's true. We're all global citizens, and it's our children who ultimately are going to create a safer, better, greener, friendlier space for our future. You know, and so we decided, like, what do we want to do? Like, how can we give back? And this is the picture of the girls. So we figured that we need to create a safe space for people to be entrepreneurs in Bangladesh. And let's actively promote ethical entrepreneurship. You know, what does that mean completely? We're still exploring, right? But it definitely revolves around practicing values and like advocating trust and honesty and transparency and doing activities for social good, right? People often think, oh, ethical entrepreneurism, or if you're, you know, Asif uses social good for AI, you must be a nonprofit or an NGO. Well, we want to challenge that. Why can't for-profit businesses also have ethical standards? Of course they can, right? But Bangladesh definitely needs a space right now to allow these incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, and just soulful people to thrive. So we've started, we hired an operations manager who's working there full time, and we're going to build a think tank. And basically, it'll end up being like a VC firm where we'll put people through this startup accelerator program and create a subway map to learn how to do business like ethical entrepreneurship in Bangladesh, right? And we'll pair them with mentors. And in order for us to start that, because we don't want to preach something that we don't practice. We're starting our own business and essentially putting it through Matir Shantan, putting it through our own startup accelerator program to work out the kinks before we have other people come and join this initiative. So our first business path is actually working in the field of autism. So we've made some wonderful connections. 1 in 36 children are diagnosed with autism now, and that's from the CDC from last year. And autism hits regardless of class or race or status, right? So we're working hard with some hospitals and with some special education schools in Bangladesh to bring best practice services for autism. And as we go through the process of building this business under the umbrella of Matir Shantan, we're developing this subway map for the next round of young entrepreneurs to come through. So it's very exciting. It's a very exciting process, and I'm personally just thrilled that I get the opportunity to do that with my husband as well. So I'll pause there. I know I was supposed to have 25 minutes. I think I ended a little short, Kathy. I hope that's okay. But I'll pause there for questions.
That is certainly all right. Yes, if you'll stop sharing your screen and we'll come back. Is there anyone that has a question? You can raise your hand physically or you can raise your hand mechanically to let us know if you have a question for Alisha. Maybe, Alisha, you can tell a little bit about the countryside and the country itself, because I know you gave us some beautiful pictures. So you can tell us about the country, like what kind of place it is.
So Bangladesh like literally translates to the land of rivers. So basically anywhere where you dig, you're going to find water. And then they create, like in the villages, they create these ponds, these natural ponds that are just stocked with fish. So it's so beautiful and tranquil to go down and you have somebody who's climbing up a coconut tree and getting a fresh coconut for you. And then you have all of like the sheep and the goats and the chickens and the cows just wandering. And I never know like how do people know who owns which which goat or which cow? But I think what I've been told, it's the animals know. I don't even think the humans know, the animals know. So, and what's really beautiful about Bangladesh is that uh, I've never felt unsafe. You know, it's highly populated, especially where my family lives in Dhaka. But the Bangladeshi people, their culture is they're so hospitable. They're like probably the most hospitable country and I've been to probably over 20 countries in my life. I've been very blessed. And it's the most hospitable country I've ever been to. Everybody is really interested in who you are. Do you need help? What can I do for you? You know, and it's such a wonderful atmosphere to experience that. The other thing that's really interesting that I find is it's kind of untouched from Western culture. I mean, it's coming. And what I mean by that is that it's not, even though it would be exciting for tourists. It's not quite like tourist friendly. Like there's no McDonald's, like there's no Starbucks yet. Those types of things. Not everybody speaks English. So when you go and you visit Bangladesh, you get this really like raw, authentic version of the country. Everything is like I lost so much weight when I went there. I didn't stop eating, but everything is so raw and organic, right? Like if we had chicken, we went to the market and they chose the chicken, like the real chicken, like the live chicken, and then we had it that night. We had fresh organic vegetables that we got from the garden. They don't have like if it's not like we can have we have watermelon every month of the year in Canada. They only have the fruits and the vegetables that are growing during that time. So it's so much fun to learn the cooking and just more of the culture.
You. Is there any questions? I don't see a hand up. Oh, I do now. Leaf, you first, and then I'll follow with Anne Marie. Leaf?
So, what is the structure of the organization at the moment, Alisha?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Asif and I haven't formalized it. It's kind of our own business. So we're kind of like, can we be co-CEOs? Does that exist? None of us want to do operations. But we do have an operations manager. But right now we're functioning as co-founders, right? But really like Asif's the CEO.
I'll go
Does
next.
that answer your question, Leaf?
Anne Marie?
Yeah. Hi, Alisha. So great to have you with us. Welcome in our club. I have a question. What prompted you to focus on autism
Oh,
more so than any other conditions?
it's such a good question. I'm honestly I'm conditioned, but I truly believe that individuals with autism are pure souls. That I believe that they're the most righteous amongst us. That we it's our responsibility to learn from them, and it's our test on how we treat them. You know so, but I know that doesn't answer your question. So both my parents were speech language pathologists, and my mom was the first speech language pathologist in New Brunswick to start working with kids with autism. She wouldn't like me saying this, but probably like 45 years ago. And she was working with them in a hospital environment, and it wasn't working. Kids with autism, they need to be social, right? So she started these social skills groups when I was 5, and I became I guess I'm not like I have ADHD, but she used me as like the neurotypical role model, right? Like the mentor. But I just thought I was hanging out with some really cool people. So all my friends when I was young were autistic. And I just, I had this mindset that, man, I don't care what I do in life. Like I would be happy if I was sweeping the floors of a person's home who's autistic. I just needed to be around these people. So that's why I say that I'm kind of conditioned, because I they were who I surrounded myself with, were these really, really interesting individuals. And what I didn't expect is that now at Real World, our niche is actually we take in the individuals that they're almost like the next step is for the parents to put them into group homes, which we don't want, right? So we're really working with some of the individuals who have the most challenges, who have the most complex needs, often nonverbal, sometimes highly like aggressive, although I wouldn't call them aggressive. It's kind of the environment that's created that, right? So now we specialize with some of the coolest, most unique individuals ever in this province. Yeah. Does that answer your question, I hope?
Yes, it does. I did a career in education, and we saw an influx of autistic children. And a lady by the name of Doreen Virtue wrote a book called The Crystal Children that was published in 2003. And how she spells autistic is AWE hyphen TISTIC.
Oh, I love
To
that.
be in awe because they are highly gifted.
Thank you. Alisha, are you frozen there? I think she is a bit. Is there any other questions? What I'm going to do is I forgot to talk about the sun never rises in, the sun never sets in Rotary. Of course it rises, but it doesn't set. And so I do have a little bit of a video, a PowerPoint for that. And I'm going to get it now.
Sorry about that. I lost Wi-Fi. We're good now.
Okay. There were no more questions, so we've sort of gone on a little bit. I just have to get this back to the front. I had forgot I was going to start off with the sun never sets in Rotary. The Sun Never Sets in Rotary is a program that is offered to the world by the Rotary of Great Britain and Ireland. And it is from February the 23rd this year, and every year it's February the 23rd because that is the birth of Rotary, and it goes on to the 24th, and it's 24-hour online birthday celebration, really. And there is a video, and this is, I'm going to play it now. Escape. Let's see if this actually is video. Maybe I'll play it when it's over, when this part is over. So this is a schedule, and it visits 50 countries in the world. And what I had suggested is that everyone from the club take an hour and watch it, and then we would share. As it was, no one came to me and said that they shared that they wanted to do a specific hour. Some people tried to get on and couldn't, and there was different things. So in the end, I think it was just me that watched. Although if there is somebody, once I get through this PowerPoint, if you let us know that you've seen it. So I watched for 14 hours and had a wonderful time watching it and learning about all these different countries. There were a few that it was in a different language, but most of them were in English. And they talked about each country. They gave us sort of a tourist view of the country and told us what it's like there. And then they would go on and talk about the projects in a particular district and explain what their interest was and how the projects worked and some of the results of the projects. It was quite wonderful. So I hope that next year I'll be a little more diligent and start a little early. This was the problem. I couldn't find it until the week of the event. And so another year we'll know it's coming because this is the 5th year of it. And we'll get our hours down pat because we know it starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Great Britain. So at about 10 o'clock in the morning, our time. And we'll assign some hours to everybody, or if people can volunteer for it. And so next year we'll have a more fuller representation of it. to. Just going to get back again. I think I'm going to be able to share it this time. Okay, I think this is the video that I can share.
From the time that I one part of the world until it was taken on the other side. There are people marching around us, doing good, changing lives, giving hope. The sun never sets. The sun never sets. All these people around the who engage with them, work with them. Let the problems feel their things. From a people and for your
Also wanted to say that in a number of countries, they showed youth and interact programs and rotaract programs, but a number of the countries have a thing called Roto Kids with younger elementary school age children too. And there is this program that's for the youth and maybe junior high and high school, and it's called My Body, and it's about touch and trafficking and stuff like that, but it's this lively song, and every time they played it in various countries, you could see the people on all their little boxes getting up to dance like this. One body, one body. So it was dancing around. So it really did feel like a global community all sharing the same experience. So next year, we hopefully will have more of that. I now am going to ask Anne-Marie to speak. She's going to talk to us a little bit about peace.
Hi, everyone. So the last time we met, we agreed that we wanted to become a Peace Builder Club. And in order to do that, I submitted the application. I had to find who was our district chair. And on the website, it was stating that it was Norman Neal. But when I contacted him, he said for personal reasons, he's no longer holding that chair. So I sent the form just the same. I said that it was a vacant chair. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to go through. So I did that. Another thing that I would like to bring your attention to is that I had talked about Rotary International having one of their causes called Promoting Peace. And when we go on Promoting Peace, you'll be able to see that they offer a free Positive Peace online course It's a self-study course, and I will put the link in our Facebook Game Changers group, so that way you'll see where to register. I did register today, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun if some of us would do the work and then we could get together and share on what really struck a chord in us. So that's second thing. And because March 8th is the Women's International Day, there is a panel discussion led by Rotary International President. I believe she's the one who initiated this. And it's called Advancing Women Building Peace. It's on March 11th at 1 p.m. our time. So March 11th, I haven't checked which day of the week would that be. March 11th, that would be next Tuesday. So I will put that link. So I'm planning to attend because I know one of the panelists. She's from California, and I met her online one time. Her name is Barbara Goggin Mueller, and she has a peace podcast that I've listened to several times, and it's focused on Rotary peace builders. That too, I'll put a link in our Game Changers. I don't want to put too much stuff at once, so a little bit at a time. So that's, if you have any questions or comment, I'm here to respond.
Any comments or questions, Stan Marie? No, that would be great if you put it in the chat, or if you put it on the Facebook page, but also if you can send it to me, and then in our next little mailing that I send out with things that we want to pay attention to, I'll send it along with that.
I will do that, Kathy. Thank you for the time. Mary Ellen?
Just I just wanted to solidify a couple things for the notes. The course for the peace course, that's going to be online, and you're sending us the details, and that's through the Rotary.
Exactly. It's on the page called Promoting Peace with Rotary International, and it's a 6-module positive peace course.
Okay.
And it's free.
And the other question I had, so what was the subject of the March 11th Tuesday? That sounds very interesting, and it's a woman's.
It's a women's panel, and it's called Advancing Women Building Peace. So the focus is on peace, and it's on March 11th, our time in New Brunswick at 1 p.m. And it's a panel conversation. There was a lady, I believe, from Thailand, Turkey. Barbara's from the States. And there was another one. I can't remember where she's from.
Is that connected to Rotary, or is that?
Yes, it is connected
to
Rotary.
Rotary. My goodness, the resources keep coming through for us, don't they? They're aligning. Our resources in our journey with peace is aligning with your help.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're all part of this together.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now share again, and we'll just have our business briefing for the night. As I said, we had a wonderful time at Kindness Week, February 17th to the 21st, and I just wanted to show this picture. Isn't this amazing? So Amore Love takes the best selfies. I can hardly get one person in myself when I'm taking a selfie, but here's a selfie with all 4 of us. We had a great time, and it was really appreciated by the people at the Women in Transition House. We still haven't had our open house for our Interact, and that's because we're waiting for Woodstock Interact to get back to us. But I am going to a school called Carleton, which has grades from kindergarten to 12. And I've been asked to present to the middle school and the high school age there. So we hope that we'll be able to do an interact club with them, and perhaps we can take as a project, maybe they would go into a peaceful project or something like that for their school. So I can see that sometime along the line, Anne Marie and I will probably take a little drive up there and see if we can get some things going with them. District conference is May 31st to June 5th in June 1st in Halifax. And Pets and Sets is the president-elect training I'm going to. And then the next day is, so I go on the Thursday for the event on Friday, if the pets, and then on the next day is the conference itself, and it finishes on Sunday. And there it is again. And Magic All Around, June 21st to 25th in Calgary. And Gamechangers Atlantic Rotary is focused on peace building, encouraging civil discourse, and educating around diversity and equity, and much more. Again, contact Anne Marie with your comments, read the club's peace agenda, and if you see something that you think is an interesting project or whatever, Anne Marie is the person to talk to about that. And I will stop the share. And we're now at 7:57 for the evening. So we've kept it pretty good with our time, even though we made a little bit of blurps here and there. I want to thank Alisha for her wonderful presentation. Are you still there, Alisha? Thank you so much. Wonderful. And again, to see what just 2 people are doing, like they think they'll activate the whole country around ethical entrepreneurship. And also, she didn't mention, but she was telling us that they were telling me that they were aware of Rotary while they were in Bangladesh. Can you give that talk? Tell us about that?
We were invited to visit a hospital and do some training and education around autism to their doctors and speech language pathologists. And the individual who picked us up from the airport, who took us on a tour through the whole entire province of Chittagong, was what was his name? Rafi, and he is the president of the Rotary Club in Chittagong. And yeah, it was amazing. And it's just like, it just feels like we're meant to be here. We keep getting pulled into Rotarians. We didn't really know what it was, but now we're understanding that it's the values that are connecting us. And he's become like a family member to us. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that he's in the Rotary Club.
Thank you so much. But so it really is, the sun never sets across the world. So I think it was a good theme for the meeting. And this is the first meeting really that we really focused on an international type of thing. And we can understand how the Rotary Foundation all over the world is helping us propel these wonderful projects and things. And I'm going to connect Alisha with, there is within Rotary a whole thing on neurodiversity too. So we can make lots of connections around that. Does anyone else have an announcement to make or whatever? If not, good night, everyone. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, and it'll be more around around the Ukraine situation, which we're getting a lot of material right now, and we're having lots of contact with various people around the Ukrainian situation. So I'm going to have us present around that. Well, good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.